Okay, hi. It's me again, the t-shirt lady, aka Christine Del Vecchio. Wait, actually aka the t-shirt lady. So this is the exposure unit. This screen is actually just coming off of the exposure unit. And what I want to show you real quickly is demonstrate this super fast. So basically we had coated the screen. This emulsion, which is has been coated over the screen mesh, it's actually held in storage for a little while. How long does it take for the emulsion to dry on there?
About a half hour.
About a half hour for the out of the bucket emulsion to dry into the screen mesh, but it's not cured yet. It'll be dry to the touch, but what's going to cure it is the exposure to the bright light. That's what we have in here. The bottom of this, there's some basic Chapt type lights in there, but at the very bottom there's a 1,000 watt halogen lamp. Had to practice that. And that is the exact light that we need to give the proper exposure. You notice that ours has, looks like an old nag. We're ready to replace some rubber on this, but it's really easy exposure unit to maintain, like most of the equipment here. Okay, so you see this is clear film, black in the image. Turn it around so you can read it. Detroit Italian Bakery. It doesn't exist, but I did when I was a kid, so nostalgic design. So we've basically outputted this to film. Wherever you see black on this film is going to serve a purpose once we expose the screen. Sammy had this taped nice and centered on the screen, but just to give you an idea, she tapes it down, bring it over to the exposure unit, give it the proper amount of light exposure, in this case with our unit, 3 minutes, and then we remove the film. Wherever there's black in this image would have prevented the light from hitting the emulsion and actually curing it into the screen. Next thing we do is we take it over to here, and I'll start it. Let's see if we finish it. And basically, once the emulsion has been cured, kind of just wet the screen. I'll take front and back, wet it down. The best thing to do is just wait a couple minutes, because if you're impatient, you can start hosing this off. It's not going to fall out immediately. It needs to get wet for a couple and stay that way for a couple minutes, and then once that's happened, it'll release from the screen mesh with ease. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this. Rather than worry with that full process of hosing out the uncured emulsion, you get the idea. So once it's rinsed out, it's really just until the water or the screen's dry to the touch and you're ready to actually take it over, tape it up, and put it on press. This area here, I had to get my smart glasses on. Okay, this area here is where I house all the screens, whether they're coated, we're waiting to be coated, just recently cleaned. You don't need to store a screen in a dark room if it hasn't been coated necessarily, but I do, because that way you're preventing the elements like dust, and especially in this type of environment where you have a lot of textiles, you prevent the elements or the dust and stuff from settling into the screen mesh and defeating the purpose of having cleaned it in the first place, because it'll interrupt your image, your final image. I wanted to point out this tool. I actually have a separate video where Sammy's demonstrating the actual process of coating the screen. So you have, do you keep it in your dark room? Obviously. The emulsion, she'll fill this up, and she'll show you in the next video. There's 2 edges to the scoop coater. We have 2 different sizes because we use, for the most part, 2 different screens more than anything. We manual size screen and then a fuller size frame for our automatic press. But there's two edges to this. One is thicker and one is narrow, sharper. You'll usually, if you need greater coverage, if your screen mesh is more dense, you want to have greater coverage. You're going to use the denser side of the scoop coater and the sharper one is reserved for the real high mesh counts. So if you want a light coat and you have millions of halftones and you're using a 300 mesh or 220 even, right? 210? 230s. You'll use the sharper side of the scoop coater. Okay, so scoop coater. No remarks about my accent. I'm not from the UP, from Michigan. Scoop coater. Alright, so over here is where Sammy keeps the chemicals. So once we've gone through the process of cleaning a screen or coating a screen, burning a screen, we've printed, that screen will eventually cycle its way back to this side of the building. I have two sides. And once it's over here, Sammy then needs to reclaim the screen. Can you show them the process that you use? There's 3 steps and she'll kind of show you. So the first one is
the ink wash.
Okay, the ink wash is...
It takes all the excess ink off the screen.
Okay, so the ink wash is, I mean, when I was in a pickle and I was just starting out, if I didn't have ink wash, I would actually use Dawn dish soap because it'll remove the, you know, first I'd get as much ink out of the screen as possible. I use the stinky xylene, works great with our plasticell inks, but it's offensive. And I was working in my house and the whole house would smell awful for a long time, but if you can get around that, do. And then if you're out of this, you could use, if you have the patience, because you have to get all the film and bubbles off from your soap. So this is made specifically for screen cleaning of the first stage in it. So then from here, so this is step 1, and then step 2.
Steps to remove it, it takes off the emulsion.
Step 2, we have a product that we use to remove the stencil or the emulsion. So we have get rid of the ink, get rid of the emulsion, and then the final step is...
If there's any image left in it, we degrease it. Okay, so a little bit more, if there's any.
Okay, so she's saying the third step is degreasing, and obviously I have a bigger mouth. Third step is degreasing it. And you can actually, there's a 4th step if necessary. If you're not, like our screens don't last, we're recycling them constantly, so we're replacing screens and stretching the mesh. But if you want to, you know, prolong the life of your screen and you're finding that you have a ghosted image or ink that's just not been deposited and it won't come out, there's a dehazer you can also look into. So that's it. That would be a step. I don't really want to take you through the 3 steps of cleaning. I mean, if you want to, so if you purchase my book and there's specific questions about any of the things I'm touching on, you can email me. You know, I have social network. Jen is behind the camera. She takes care of all of our social media, but she also is filming, editing, so she can follow me around. I can show you specific. Like I've had some FaceTime calls with white ink is a problem for newbies. I know, I've been there, and I'm happy to help you with that. I didn't want to just write a book, and I know it wasn't cheap, so I want to make sure you get all the information that you want or need. So, and we'll probably, Jen and I will probably be starting a blog with the most requested topics. Sound good? So that's it for today. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to post right after this video. I'll post another video with Sam actually coding the screen. Okay, thank you.